My name's Matthew Croucher and I'm a specialist in older persons' mental health. This time we're going to talk about the very first organ that most people think of when they think about health problems from alcohol, the liver. But I wonder if you actually know what the liver is for. You might know that it's big and that it sits under your rib cage here on the right hand side, but what does the liver actually do? Well, it's got complicated jobs actually. We might think if there is something as big as this sitting inside us, it's probably important. The first job of the liver is to take all of the nutrients that come from the blood supply from the gut, where we've broken them down and absorbed them into our body from our food. They first come to the liver. The reason for that is there's perhaps a whole lot of things that we've taken in our diet that are bad for our bodies. And the liver's first job is to get rid of all of those poisons, toxins, unnecessary things. That includes all of the drugs that we take into our body, including the prescribed drugs that our doctors give us. Our liver says, hey, I'm not so sure that that's a normal part. I'll start getting rid of those. But the liver also handles all of the good stuff that's coming from our gut. So carbohydrates that we need to build glucose, and we need to build the sort of bones and scaffolding of our body, the structure of our body. Fats that we need, especially for nerve cells, and also the proteins that we use to build our muscles, but also all of the enzymes in our bodies, the little chemicals that do all the work. Our liver has to process the food to turn it into the elements that the rest of our body can use. So that's a pretty important job. Another thing that our liver does is produce bile acids that are really important to help break down the fats in our food into the kind of subunits that our bodies can use. So these are all the jobs of the liver. There are other less important jobs, but these are the main ones. Alcohol has some quite interesting effects on our liver. And you may know that if a person is severely misusing alcohol, one of the things that can happen is our liver becomes cirrhotic. Liver cirrhosis, it's called. That means a small, withered, literally wrinkled up, shriveled up liver that can hardly do its job anymore. Now, it is true that most of us who are drinking alcohol, including into old age, will not end up with liver cirrhosis, but I can tell you, you don't want to be in that group that do. It's a very unpleasant and unhealthy way to live, and it's an unpleasant and undignified way to die. But at lesser stages of alcohol damage to the liver, where it's still working, just not as well as it should do, there are still down the stream effects on our body. In fact, when we are being tested by our doctor for possible damage of alcohol on our whole body, the liver and its function are one of the places that the doctor will always do a blood test to look for first. Even though the liver has amazing powers of regeneration, they are coping with quite early damage that even one drink of alcohol can cause to our liver cells. So it's actually lucky in a way that our liver is so good at regenerating, because it's also extremely vulnerable to the toxic effects of alcohol. These blood tests that doctors will do are called liver function tests, and basically they are measuring chemicals that should be inside liver cells, but because our drinking has blown up, literally blown up those liver cells, those chemicals are now leaking into our blood and we can measure them. It's a little bit like the canary in the mine. You know how miners would take down a canary deep underground, and if there was poisonous gas, if the bird stopped singing, they knew they'd better get out of there, even if none of the miners could smell it yet. Well, the liver is the canary in the mine when it comes to alcohol's toxic effects on the body. It's the liver that can show up those toxic effects first. Now, it may be that your liver and my liver are regenerating enough for the time being to cope with that kind of damage. But you need to know that when we are drinking, even what everyone else would think is kind of a moderate amount, not skid row alcoholic kind of drinking, that your liver is having its liver cells blow up and it's needing to work extra hard to replace those. It's very sensitive to the effects of alcohol on the body. So, the story with livers, good news that they can regenerate quite well. Bad news that they're very sensitive to the toxic effects of alcohol, and we might not even notice how that is changing how our body can use the nutrients in our food. It's changing the way that we can digest our fats from the bile acids, and it's changing the way our body can get rid of other things that the liver's job is to clear from the body. And then at its end stage, we certainly don't want cirrhosis. Do I need to continue with the litany of horrors? Alcohol increases your risk of liver cancer. Alcohol increases the problems that you can have with galls. I won't go on. But the key message is, it is the most sensitive part of the body to the toxic effects of alcohol. And liver cirrhosis at the end of the game is not the only problem from alcohol use in the liver. It's all part of weighing up the pros and cons, isn't it? Next time, we're going to talk about the effects of alcohol on some of the other organs of the body, perhaps organs that we've not really considered before alcohol might affect.
Tipple and Topple, a tool to help the viewers make better informed choices.